All right, you're in JE Live. I am JE himself. And today we are going to be talking about the Rams. Shocker, I know. It's a Rams channel. We're talking about the Rams. But no, look, I'm not worried at all about the Rams following this loss. Having gone through and watched most of the tape, I couldn't watch all of it. Really frustrating game to watch. But watching the tape and kind of going through the different things that, I feel like I learned and going through my notes, I'm not worried. I'm not. The Panthers are exactly what I said they were 2 weeks ago. I went away from my gut, my knowledge, my instincts, and assumed that this, the 49ers loss was ultimately going to kill them. And it didn't. The reality is this. They are exactly who we knew them to be. What I mean by that is when you look at Carolina, this is a team that has played spoiler against better teams. Why? Because they do that typically at home. Now, in the rare instance that they actually won a really good game on the road against the Packers, that was against the Packers, who do not score very well, right? So a team that doesn't score, you're able to upset that said team. You just get a few different mistakes that you can get them to make, and there you go. Of course, in that game, they won the turnover battle. So there you go. The Panthers are a good football team when playing at home. When they're playing on the road, they're ordinary. They have, Bryce Young threw 102 yards against the Packers and won the game. Why? Because the defense is opportunistic. Let's not forget, Ejiro Evero did an outstanding job when he was with the Rams, but then he did an outstanding job with the Broncos. Now he's with the Carolina Panthers. I think people have forgotten that he's still there because it feels like he's so overdue to get a head coaching gig. Well, he's doing a great job. Outstanding job. They're getting turnovers, it feels like, every single game, and they're getting them in bulk. This is also the game Rico Dowdle went off in, 2 touchdowns, 130 yards against the Packers. So they won on the road. That's what makes them weird. But when you realize they're not a good road team, that was just kind of fluky in a sense. They could have beaten Arizona, to be fair. That's a game they came all the way back. Bryce Young gave him a chance at the end of the day, had 328 yards, and they almost got the win. They lost in week 2. They got outplayed by Jacksonville. You know what I want to bring up about Jacksonville? That's an interesting game because that was a weather delay. Jacksonville, of course, was the home team. That game lasted way too long because of the weather delay. Kind of throw that one away. They could have beaten Arizona. They came all the way back, made it a game. They dominated Atlanta at home. So their first game at home, they win 30-0. Then they go back on the road and they lose 42-13 to the Patriots. Then they go back home and they beat Miami. Then they go back home and they beat Dallas. Then they go on the road and they beat the Jets. Jets aren't any good. So there you go. Although shout out to the Jets for winning yesterday. Then they go back home and they lose to Buffalo. See, these are the two things that stand out to me as why Carolina is just a weird football team. We knew they were good at home. Then they lose to Buffalo, and now everyone starts second-guessing it. They just lost to Buffalo at home. Why? Then they beat Green Bay on the road, and then they lose to the Saints at home. Then they beat the Falcons on the road in overtime, and then they lose to the 49ers. So it's like, what is this team? Well, I'll tell you what this team is. Panthers fans probably have figured it out by now. They're a team that's 7-6 currently. They're much better at home. They get up to play against the best teams. For whatever reason, that Buffalo game, you could just kind of throw it away. It was just a bad game. The Green Bay game, Green Bay doesn't score. They found a way to tip the scales with the turnovers. But when you look at the rest of their games, they're going to beat New Orleans on the road. People are going to all of a sudden buy back into them and be like, oh, they're an 8-6 team. They won on the road following the bye. Then they're going to lose to Tampa at home and shock us. So it's going to be like, what the hell? They lost at home. What's going on? 8-7. Then they're going to beat Seattle and shock us again, 9-7. And then they're going to beat Tampa or lose to Tampa. Regardless, they're a 10-7, 9-8 football team. This is a commonality. When you look at Super Bowl teams in the past, they all have lost. Going back to 2018, all Super Bowl teams, all Super Bowl winners. Eagles last year lose to the 8-9 Falcons. The Chiefs in 2023 lose to the 8-9 Broncos and the Raiders. The 2022 Chiefs lost to the 4-12-1 Colts. The 2021 Rams didn't win a game in November. The Buccaneers lost to the 8-8 Bears. The 2019 Chiefs lost to the 7-9 Colts, and the 2018 Patriots lost to the 5-11 Jags, the 6-10 Lions, and the 7-9 Dolphins. You have to go back to 2017 where the Eagles, they won a Super Bowl and they didn't have a surprising loss or a massive losing streak. The problem is we focus way too much because it's a week-to-week thing. It's a weekly episodic television show that you get 16 episodes a day that are released or around that, depending on how many games are played. And so the reality is we're all quick to react. We love reacting. We love power rankings. We love ranking and reacting, and it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, none of this is going to matter if the Rams are the ones hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, like I'm telling you they're going to be doing, as long as they get a decent bill of health and Matthew Stafford makes it the full season. But here's the thing. That's not enough. This is the media. This is the way NFL works. It's a very what have you done for me lately league. It's a very forgetful league. And despite the fact that the Rams quite literally won 6 straight games, and they beat the Buccaneers, and they beat the Seahawks, and they beat the 49ers in a 3-game gauntlet that people didn't expect them to win, and the fact they came back and they beat the Colts, nope, not enough. The Jaguars, they blew them out. Now the Jaguars aren't a good football team anymore. They're going to be in the playoffs. So when you look at it, the reality is that people are just going to forget about what the Rams have done the last 6 games. I'm not. And this sucks, but is this not also a good sign? A good sign that, look, you can go through the Rams schedule and point out different things. That Texans game, okay? The Rams play a Super Bowl level defense in the Houston Texans to start off the season. The Texans shut down the run, and yet the Rams still find a way. They get Puka Nacua going. They force a turnover at the end of the game when they need it. Like, that's the thing. They found a way. Now, the Rams should have won this game 21-9, not 14-9. Colby Parkinson fumbled at the 2-yard line. This game would have been over, done. But despite the fact they didn't close it out and all the momentum was tipping towards Houston, the Rams found a way to win in the first game of the year. And then you look at week 2. And people, I remember complaining, this Titans team had the Rams potentially on the ropes. Joey Sly going into almost the fourth quarter puts the Titans up 16-13. Everyone's saying the Titans aren't a good football team. This is a joke. How can the Rams even allow this? And guess what? Davis Allen catches an 8-yard touchdown pass right before they go into the fourth quarter. Rams take a 20-16 lead and never really look back. 33-19, your final. That's the same team that Seattle had to do the same. And by the way, that game was closer than the Rams game. Then you go to the Eagles game. And the Eagles game, it took 2 blocked kicks for the Eagles to win this game. The Rams outplayed Philly. Everyone knows it. Philly knows it. Philly does not want to see the Rams again. And yet, the Rams reap the rewards of going through a loss like that. You go through a painful loss like that early on in the season. You give up 26 points in the second half after going up 19-7 to start dominating the first half. And guess what? Matthew Stafford, he threw a pick on the first drive of the game. So say what you will, the Rams already faced crazy adversity in week 3. They get a huge loss, which I think is a good thing because you learn from your losses more than you do in your wins. That was a way to start off the season. Then the Colts game, which everyone wants to chalk up to luck. What if I bounce this off you? Yes, the Colts absolutely could have won this game. They probably should have won the game. They could have gone up 27-13. And then disaster struck for them when Adonai Mitchell, who had 96 yards, leading receiver in this game, now on the Jets, just had a 100-yard game. Only guy during the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games that had a 100-yard game, by the way. Adonai Mitchell fumbles. He fumbles because he started looking back and seeing the hustle from Emmanuel Forbes. Yes, he burned Forbes, but at the same time, Forbes went over and forced the turnover. He didn't hit him, but he got in his rearview mirror, and of course, it's a bad play by Adonai Mitchell, but he distracted him, and Mitchell ends up dropping the ball right before the goal line. The point is, I don't care how that went down. The Rams were playing a 3-1, red-hot Indianapolis Colts team, 3-0, mind you, and they found a way to win. Stafford threw for 375 yards. Puka Nacua had 170 yards. They found a way to win. This wasn't just luck. They had to do the different things that they had to do. So now this is a 3-1 football team instead of a 1-3 football team like years past. Then the 49er game. It took everything. Even though the 49ers outplayed the Rams for the most part, we'll say to a degree. I don't even know if that's even fair to say. But even though the 49ers had control of this game for the most part, the Rams still found themselves. Despite 2 fumbles in this game, they were right there ready to win this game. They were right there at the end of the game. Blake Corum fumbled a pitch in the red zone. Kyron Williams fumbled at the goal line, and they were still there at the end of the game. Came down to the wire, just like the Eagles game. Things you don't normally see. Overtime, 4th and 1. So there you go on that. Then they don't lose a game until the last day in November. They don't even trail until this game against the Panthers. People gave them shit for the Ravens game. Ravens go on, they rip off 5-6 wins in a row following the Rams' loss. They bag on the Jaguars. Oh, the Jaguars aren't good. They blew out the Jaguars, just proved that they're not that good. Oh, don't look now. But the Jaguars, by the way, it took Davis Mills to have like some incredible drive to win the game. But the Jaguars have won 4 of their last 5 since losing to the Rams. The Jaguars are 8-4. So we can act like that wasn't a big deal. We can act like that wasn't that good of a game because the Rams just blew them out. But maybe the Rams are just that good. They went to London. They were there for 24 hours, if even, and they won 35-7. Then they come off the bye. Oh, what's going to happen? They're playing the Saints. This could get sneaky. This could be a trap game. I heard that so many times. And the Rams win 34-10. And then, the Rams, 49ers. 49ers beat them last time with the JV roster. Well, the Rams go on the road, and they play in a hot game, very hot day, and the Rams find a way. Stafford throws 4 touchdowns. The defense forces a pick on Mac Jones. There's a fumble in this one. Landman punches it out. And the Rams prevail, and they dominate this game. This game was 42-20, in my opinion, because that was the most garbage time touchdown it ever gets when it comes to George Kittle. Fun touchdown, really athletic and everything, garbage time. They never had a chance of winning this game. This game was all Rams the entire way. Absolute destruction. Rams went on the road, and they beat them at Levi's. Okay, we move on. Rams have no chance. They're not going to beat Seattle. They beat Seattle. They forced 4 turnovers on Sam Darnold, despite the fact Matthew Stafford only threw 130 yards. They couldn't pass the ball. Like, Seattle did a really nice job shutting down the passing game. The offense didn't really show up, but at the same time, who cares? They found a way to win. Then they go in primetime, and now the Buccaneers aren't good anymore because the Rams beat them down 34-7. The same Buccaneers team that's 7-5, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. And now the Rams beat the Panthers, and now the Rams aren't good. Rams are, what is it, frauds? Frauds, really? They've won 6 straight. No, I'm not worried. 6-game win streak. Like, I mean, that's ridiculous. How could you be worried about this team right now? Let's go through it, by the way. Let's go through, because, I hear all the time, Rams need to clean this up, Rams need to clean that up, so forth, right? I actually came away from this game not really thinking the Rams have to clean too much up. And why do I feel that way? I'll tell you. Because the reality is that the Rams had a lot of mistakes in this game they don't normally make. Matthew Stafford hadn't turned over the ball since the Eagles game. That's the last time he threw an interception, by the way. The Eagles game. That was the last time Matthew Stafford had thrown an interception. So let's make that clear. It's not like he was just tossing the ball all over and turning it over consistently. The Eagles game was the last one. So when you look at it, the real things in this game, Stafford hasn't been turning the ball over, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay? Bad interception. The other one was fluky. You need that stuff to happen when it's David versus Goliath. The run game we're going to get into. That's actually one of the things they need to clean up, and not because the run game was bad, quite the opposite. I don't know why Tutu Atwell didn't play. He would have been a huge help in this game. Not really sure. Hopefully he plays this week. I don't like what they're doing. I haven't liked what they're doing. I don't like how they use him. I never have. So there's that. Then you look at the offensive line. The offensive line was stellar, except for 2 plays. Both plays, Stafford got sacked, one of which ended the game, essentially. The offensive line's been really good. Not talked about nearly enough. Best run-blocking offensive line in football and pass protecting. This was a huge step forward in a lot of different ways. The coverage side of things. The Rams have been the number 1 coverage team in the league, according to PFF. And they still are, even after a game like this. The Rams' coverage was bad, but it actually wasn't bad. Emmanuel Forbes struggled, and he wasn't good enough. But overall, I thought the coverage was pretty good. They actually covered both 4th down plays pretty well. Great throws, of course, by Bryce Young. But on top of that, those were on Emmanuel Forbes and the pass rush. So that brings me to my next point. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the pass rush. I am so ready to finally talk about, because I love the pass rush. I love what they have. It's time to stop covering it up. It's getting ridiculous. Okay, so the defensive front pressure and finishing sacks. That is the number 1 thing they have to clear up. That's the number 1 thing. So Braden Fisk won 21% of his snaps. He was outstanding both in the run game and the passing game. He was outstanding rushing the passer. He was outstanding stopping the run. Jared Verse won 10% of his reps. Not great. Had 3 pressures, though. Jared Verse needs to finish sacks, but he played pretty decently. Byron Young, 5.9%. He had a sack, but Byron Young was not great. So what am I getting at here? They had 9 pressures all game on Bryce Young. They didn't get home on those 4th down plays. That unit has to be better. This has been something that's been covered up by a great secondary that no one wants to give the respect they deserve, and the big splash plays. What I mean by that is the secondary has really been bailing this defense out. Don't get me wrong, they get pressure, but it's a very situational basis. They're not consistently dominant up front like they were at the end of last year. The corners, the safeties, they've been doing a great job. They're holding on. They're covering a lot longer than they should be. So what do I mean by the splash plays? Well, when you look at the splash plays, guys, we're talking about those interceptions. We're talking about the, peanut punch from Nate Landman. Those are splash plays. When you get those plays, everyone clumps everyone in the defense together. Now, all of a sudden, you're a ferocious defense. Now, all of a sudden, the things about your defense that struggle, people don't care. That is the case. So, what I'm getting at here is that I believe that this defense front has been a little bit overrated. They're not getting enough pressure. I don't think Jared Verse is washed. They do a really good job on occasion. And they have games that make you go, wow. But 9 pressures isn't going to cut it. Bryce Young was absolutely dicing them up because he didn't face pressure. Now, last week, the Rams had 24 pressures against the Buccaneers. So they were great last week. And they had 22 against the Seahawks. So it's not like I'm saying that they're bad. They had 16 against the 49ers. They only had 8 against the Saints. They had 37 against Jacksonville. Okay? They had 26 against the Ravens. They had 17 against the 49ers. They had 21 against the Colts. 21 against the Eagles. They had 23 against the Titans. And they had 18 against the Texans. That's a lot. They're playing well over the course of the season. But while pressures are nice, those 4th down plays is when I need you to come through. So that is when, Bryce Young had 2 4th downs and he wasn't even touched. You can't have corners covering for that long. Again, Braden Fisk was fantastic. Deserves all the credit in the world. He was fantastic. This is one of his best games. He was dominant. But yeah, it was frustrating because you look at these guys and you're waiting for them to make a play and they didn't. So say what you will, but the pass rush has to be better. They have to be better in those big situations. They got to get home. That defense did not show up in that one. Now, that said, okay, the run game, the run defense, this is what I mean, right? The run defense is not an issue. This is when we talk about, we got to be careful. Oh, we got to clean this up. We got to clean this up. Why? This is the first time we're seeing it. How do we know? How do you know we have to clean this and that up? That's the thing. If they're constantly stopping the run, how do they have to clean it up? They struggled. And by the way, the rain, the elements, I think they played a big factor. But that brings me to my next point. We could talk about the coverage. You could argue the weather had something to do with it. We could talk about the run game. You could argue the weather had something to do with it. One thing the weather had nothing to do with and probably should have had to do more with is that the Rams did not stay with the run when it was that effective. The Rams dominated the Panthers run game. Okay, averaged 7.2 yards per carry. Blake Corum was averaging in the 11s. Kyron Williams was averaging in the 9s. This is not the first time this has happened this year. Sean McVay ran it half as many times as the Panthers did in a neck-and-neck game. In a game that the Panthers controlled the clock for the entire third quarter except for 3 plays. This continues to happen. No matter how well the Rams run, Sean McVay cannot commit to running the football. It's like now with the red zone offense figured out, by far the biggest weakness is this for Sean McVay. If he figures out how to balance it out, he's going to be unstoppable. But right now, no. You should never lose a game where your team is running the ball at a 7.2 yards per carry clip. And you only carry the ball 21 times. That is unacceptable. That's inexcusable. Sean McVay has to run the football, especially in bad weather. Especially in a game Stafford's thrown 2 interceptions in. See, now 3rd and 5, I don't know what happened. I know that there was a delay of game. Sadly, the only penalty of the game. Boom. But what I will tell you is that 3rd and 5, when they get the penalty that backs them up to 3rd and 10, now they're definitely throwing the football. They should have run the football. They should have kicked the field goal. They should have. They should have kicked the field goal. It's no longer one of those, we're just going to come in and dominate you games. It is survival of the fittest. When you realize it was that late in the game and you're playing a really hungry Carolina Panthers team that views you as their Super Bowl, guess what? You're kicking the field goal. It's the road. You're kicking the field goal. Run the football. And if you get it, then you keep going. But yeah, I didn't like the play call. I didn't like the play decision. And there you go. That's what happens. It's just, it's frustrating. It was frustrating seeing Poona Ford come out of the game because he's dealing with injury. A lot of frustrating things in this game. But at the same time, I'm just not worried about it. This is what I mean. I'm not worried about it. The 2 things you need to focus on, getting home, you actually have to sack the quarterback. You have to sack the quarterback, get home. And number 2, stay with the run when it's being that effective. So say what you will, but I'm not worried. Everything else that looked bad hasn't looked like that all year. So Stafford threw a bad interception. It happens. He doesn't do it very often. The other one was tipped. The fumble likely doesn't happen if it's not pouring rain. But again, the offensive line looked really good, which is a step in the right direction. The coverage was the worst it's been, and I think that may have had something to do with the weather. And I tweeted this out, and I don't care. Like, I know this sounds like total, like, sour grapes. But based on just the body of work from the Panthers and the Rams, if this game is in LA, I don't think this game is close. Like, I think the Panthers lose by 10 plus easily. The Panthers are a different team at home, and the Rams are better when they're not in the pouring rain. That said, the Rams now need to watch out because if they don't take care of business, they're going to be playing in that pouring rain and potentially snow. So say what you will, give the Panthers their credit. They won the game. Now, the Rams got their loss out of the way. Now you got to run the table. Sucks, but you kind of have to. You want to get the 1 seed. You want to have everybody come into LA. You don't want to have to go to Philly. Even if you're better than Philly and you know you're better than Philly, you don't want to have to play in Philly. You don't want to have to play in Chicago. You don't want to have to play in Seattle. You don't want to have to play in the elements. Think about this. You play in the elements once, and that'll be in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. That's all they got to do. It's all they have to do. If you get the number 1 seed, you don't have to play on the road. You don't have to play in the weather until you get to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. And what is San Francisco weather like in February? I'm curious. Excuse me, Santa Clara. Now I'm curious. So February, it's typically a high of 63, a low of 45. And it does rain. It rains 7 out of the 28 days. Right? So, yeah, I mean, it rains a quarter of the month around that. But anyway, like, let's be honest here, okay? You don't have to play in the weather if you just get this 1 seed. You can get the 1 seed. I kind of feel like Carolina is going to beat Seattle, or Carolina is not going to help the Rams at all. They're just going to beat the Rams, play spoiler, lose to the 49ers, and get boat raced by Seattle. Maybe that's what'll happen. That's one way to get me to hate them. That is one way to get me to hate them. I was so pissed watching them against the 49ers. They made me so angry. And I was rooting against the 49ers because I don't like them. I'm not worried about the 49ers. Does anyone notice how many 49er fans are so loud about beating the Browns? And it's funny to me because they have this idea in their head that they're better or they're on the same tier as the Rams. I'm like, dude, the last time you two played, you lost by 16. In actuality, you lost by 22 because that was a garbage time touchdown. If San Francisco has to play the Rams again in the playoffs, are you kidding me? There's such a huge disparity between the two teams. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, if Carolina can't take care of business against Seattle, then they're dead to me. Doesn't really matter because I don't really think this team is that great, but I'm going to give them their credit for winning this game, obviously. And I'm not worried about it. Like I said, Super Bowl winning teams have lost games like this in the past, actually every single one of them since 2017. So yeah, looking at their schedule, I mean, the Rams have the Cardinals in Arizona. I'm sure a lot of Cardinal fans are hoping that they can have the magic from week 2 last year. Well, I don't think Trey White is going to be playing in this game, so there's a very unlikely chance of that happening. Arizona is desperately trying to get back in the win column. They have lost 4 straight. They lost by 22 to the Seattle Seahawks. They lost by, around, I think it's 19 to San Francisco. They lost in overtime to Jacksonville, and they lost a close game to Tampa. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams get the Cardinals' best, and this is somehow a close game. And then, of course, just so all the doom and gloomers can freak out and be like, see, the Rams lost to the Carolina Panthers and they barely beat the Cardinals. I can hear it now. But all that matters is they get to win number 10. Then they have the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions have won 2 of their last 5. They lost to the Vikings. Still bizarre that they lost to the Vikings. They beat the Commanders by 22. They lost to Philly by 7. They lost to the Giants. Well, they beat the Giants in overtime with Jameis Winston. I don't know how that game was still close, but give Jameis credit. And they lost a 7-point game to Green Bay because Dan Campbell loves going for it on 4th down. Anyway, then they have Seattle. Seattle is on a tear. Their only loss in the last 5 is against the Rams. The Rams only lost against Carolina, who Seattle will face. Carolina just won 26-0 against Minnesota. They just won 30-24 against the Titans. The same Titans the Rams dominated in the 4th quarter and blew them out. Seattle lost 21-19, and then they beat Arizona by 22, and they beat Washington. I think the real question is that people are going to ask, how for real is Seattle? I mean, they played the Rams really tough, and they got 4 tough games in a row. So this little easy stretch for Seattle where they play Tennessee and Minnesota and Atlanta, well, that's going to go away when Seattle has to play Indianapolis, Los Angeles, Carolina, and San Francisco to end the season. So we're going to find out how tough Seattle really is. Are they going to run the table? They can. They absolutely can. But we'll see what ends up happening there. And then the Rams have the Falcons, which if they were to lose this game, see, I would rather lose the Carolina game than this Falcons game. If they were to lose the Falcons game, I'd be so freaking pissed. I would be as doom and gloomer as you are. For the last 5 games, the Falcons have lost. They only beat the Saints. They lost to the Jets. They lost to Carolina in overtime. They lost to Indy in overtime, and they lost to the Patriots. Say what you will. the Falcons have been in all these games, except for the Saints game, they blew them out. It's all come down to the wire. So this could be another one of those annoying ass Monday Night Football games. We'll see. And then the Rams finish off the season with the Cardinals. So I don't understand why people are worried. Yeah, I guess like the number one seed is in doubt. Like it's not like you lose that kind of breathing room by losing to the Panthers. But at the same time, guys, I mean, you have the Cardinals twice. You got the Falcons. Then you have the Lions and Seahawks. Okay. Lions and Seahawks are their two toughest games left out of the next 5. You got 5 more games. You're 9-3. Go and get to 10 wins, beat Arizona. Then you got the Lions. Normally, I mean, the Lions have played the Rams really tough, but this is in LA. Last time the Rams played the Lions in LA, the Rams won. And I'm sorry, but Jared Goff has not impressed me this year at all since Ben Johnson's left. They're really just having him dink and dunk. He's not really going deep down the field. They don't trust him. And you pressure him and he folds like a lawn chair. And now we know that what's-his-face won't be back, Ragnow, because he failed a physical. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Okay. It's not like I don't think the Bears are going to win out. I don't know if Seattle wins out anymore. I think the Rams, if the Rams beat Seattle, they're winning out. That game is everything. I think they could win the game. I'm still not sure. I need to see them against the Cardinals and Lions, but that's my point. I'm not worried. This team is still very, very good. This team is still, in my mind, the number 1 team in the league. I'd put them number 1 in the power rankings. I don't care about the loss. Losing a 31-28 game to a Panthers team that, I mean, let's just face it, you know, they they beat the Packers. You know, they have these wins on their schedule. And it's like the Cowboys are red hot. I mean, they got some good wins. I personally not worried. I know a lot of people are going to be worried. I'm not worried. And I said this the year they won the Super Bowl. It was hard. Did I absolutely love going live after the Rams lost 31-10 to the 49ers? No, I did not enjoy that very much. I remember it like it was yesterday, though. People were saying this team had no chance. As soon as they lost to the Niners, the Titans game brought out some negativity, 28-16, right? They're 7-2. Okay. They lose to the Niners on Monday Night Football, 31-10. This is the game where Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, Jeff Wilson, they ran the ball 44 times. And the Rams only ran it 10 times for 5.2 yards per carry, by the way. Stafford had 2 turnovers in this game. Cooper Kupp went off. That was really it. Odell did nothing, right? This game got away from them. And it just became a snowball effect after that. Because this was a, 14-7 game? But anyway, point being is I remember it like it was yesterday when people were saying season's over. Then they lost to Green Bay following the bye week, 36-28. And once again, people were like, yeah, the Rams aren't winning the Super Bowl. They've lost 3 straight. They finally played 3 playoff teams and they lost. Yeah, and then they rattled off win. And then they lost an overtime game to the 49ers. And then they ended up, when it mattered the most, dominating Arizona in the wild card round, 34-11, beating Tampa. They dominated them 27-3. They let Tampa all the way back, and despite that, they still found a way to win, 30-27. Then they beat the 49ers in the conference championship game, despite the fact Ben Skoranek dropped a wide-open touchdown that would have kind of sealed the deal. And then, despite the fact, all odds against them, against Cincinnati, losing Odell, not having Robert Woods, being down to Kendall Blanton, but on the first play of the game, he gets hurt. So now Bryson Hopkins, who barely played the whole year, now has to start at tight end. You got all these different things. No running back room. Nobody in that running back room was healthy. And they find a way to win. So, constant there, Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay. Those are the guys that remain at the helm. Don't forget, 2023, they're 3-6. I said they'd make the playoffs. I was not out on them. They made the playoffs. They went 10-7. Okay. Then last year, can't forget their 1-4 start. Jake, this team's not making it. They lost to Green Bay. This should have been a win. They lost to Caleb Williams. This should have been a win. Arizona, the 41-10, meltdown, right? And then, what is it? They came off the bye. They won 3 straight. Then they lose to Miami, and it's back to, this team's not good. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They're 4-5. The point is, after a while, you start to see patterns. The Rams have had these losses in the past. 2017, that Washington game pissed me off so much. I was so mad. The Rams just dominated the Colts 46-9 in Sean McVay's debut. Then they get to go against his former team, and the Rams come up short 27-20 when I'm in attendance. I was pissed, but I never once felt like this team wasn't going to go 11-5. That's what I said before the season. 49er game, 41-39. Dallas game, 35-30. Then they lose Seattle 16-10, and people were like, I don't know. 3-2 doesn't sound good. Then they beat Jacksonville. Then they dominate Arizona. Then I'm at the game against the Giants, and they win 51-17, and all of a sudden they're 6-2. And then they beat Houston. They're 7-2. Robert Woods goes down in the Minnesota Vikings game. A stinker. It's 24-7. They lose. They're 7-3. They beat New Orleans 8-3. They beat Arizona 9-3. Right? The Eagles game, so frustrating. 43-35. The Eagles fans are celebrating at the Coliseum. Awful. Hated that. 9-4. Like, my point is that after a while, you just see these patterns. But the problem is, again, it's the NFL. It's knee-jerk reaction central. You can't lose a game against the Carolina Panthers without hearing it. Doesn't matter that Carolina's 7-6. Doesn't matter that they've had some marquee wins and they've been good at home. You can't get away from it. So, not worried. Rams still have the best team. They have the best coach. They have the best quarterback. Do they have the best defense? I think it's a somewhat flawed defense, but I think it's definitely one of the best in the league. I think most defenses are flawed. Their pass protection has gotten much better. They have the best run blocking. Their running backs, Kyron's going to go over 1,000, and Blake Corum can end up with like 700 rushing yards, maybe 800, depending if they start using him more. PFF still has him as number 1 in a lot of different categories, including overall. Told you guys, I'm not worried. Not at all worried. This week against Arizona, like I said, I think Arizona is going to give them a run. They'll play them tough. We saw last year they played them tough. The last time the Rams faced Arizona, Kyler Murray threw it off of McBride's head, and Ahkello Witherspoon picked it off to seal the deal. 13-9 win. That was ugly. Also, what a lot of people don't realize is down the stretch, why was it so ugly? Well, in the Buffalo game, Stafford suffered a rib injury, and he played through it. And you could see it really affected him in the 49er game, the Jets game, the Cardinals game. And that's why it was so good for him to get that time where week 18 he doesn't play. Then he's able to play against Minnesota. And he's still feeling it. And then the Eagles, he just kind of let it rip. And so I don't know. But let's get to super chats here. Falk the Winers, love the name. Thank you for the 5. I said it after the Seattle game. Hardest schedule in the West. I'm not worried as long as they win out. P.S. Played DK with Ahkello Witherspoon at this point. Has wheels. DK has to play the star if he's going to be out there. But if Forbes plays even half as good as he played in primetime, like, this game isn't close. That's another thing that isn't talked about. And you got to give credit where Carolina's due. Carolina had 2 touchdowns on 2 fourth downs. The Rams have been one of the best fourth down defenses in football. So there's just a lot of things that had to happen that never seemed to happen against the Rams that happened. That's why, again, it's just another reason why I'm just not really worried. It was just one of those games where, like, everything had to go their way. They had to make play after, and they did. but it's just you don't normally see the Rams give up stuff like that. Taking my victory lap, go Hawks. I appreciate it too. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for the 2. Multiple 10-win teams missing playoffs in the NFC. I don't know who that'll be, but you're right in all likelihood. Was Stat Padford seeing ghosts? No. Nope. He made a bad decision on an out route to Puka Nacua, blanketed. Just a bad decision right off the rip. Probably knew it right when he threw it. The second one was off the helmet, into the air, picked off. And the third fumble was he's trying to make a play. He needs to just go down and live to play another day. It's pouring rain. He actually loses the ball before Bobby Brown hits him. But yeah, frustrating stuff there. Appreciate you for the 2, Jeffrey. Julian, how's it going? Thank you for the 10. Hi, Jake. Concerned with the pass rush and letting teams dominate the time of possession. We were dominated by Seattle and still won. Imagine if it was a 50-50 time of possession, we'd be unstoppable. You're right. And I agree with everything you said. I mean, the pass rush can still get there, needs to get there when it matters. And then when it comes to the time of possession, that can be solved if you just run the ball more, and I just don't think they're running the ball nearly enough, personally. It's really frustrating, but that's kind of where we're at. Julian, I do appreciate you. P-Train, what to do? Thank you for the 5. The only one who can beat the Rams themselves. It's true. Didn't Quentin Lake say that on my show? I think he did. So the only ones that have beaten the Rams are the Rams. Yeah, it feels that way. Truly feels that way. You don't want to take away credit from another team, but at the same time, the Rams, they've been in games like that. They should have beaten the Panthers. They should have beat the 49ers, and they absolutely should have beaten the Eagles. Now, one thing I feel good about with this game specifically is the Rams lost in a game that just didn't feel like the officiating had anything to do with it for once. So that was cool. The 49er game, the Rams had a forced fumble taken away, and then they also had Kyron Williams, who fumbled at the 1-yard line, was punched in the head by rule that would have been unnecessary roughness, 15 yards. Rams would have gotten the ball. The fumble doesn't happen. So that was frustrating, but I'm glad that the Panthers game, they had one penalty. I thought Novak's crew did a good job, just kind of let him play. Doesn't mean that the Rams didn't commit more than one. It's just they threw a flag for one. I'm not ignorant. I know the Rams probably had more than one penalty that should have been called, but they let him play for the most part. And I don't think that they overdid it on either side. So I can feel good about that, knowing the Rams didn't lose because of some bad stuff. Same with Philly. I mean, I kind of. I mean, Philly at the end of the game, I will say, that was just blatant. I mean, their entire plan was we're just going to hold Puka Nacua the rest of the game, and it worked because they didn't call it. But Carolina, it didn't feel like that, so that was cool. Appreciate the super there, P-Train. Dark Saga, thank you for the 5. Rams have one loss, and the sky's falling. Relax, people. They'll be fine. That's what I'm saying. And it's every year, man. It's every year. I understand fans will be fans, but good grief. This team is 9-3. Their next win will be as many wins as they had all last year, with 5 games to go. Okay, or 4 games to go if they win after that. Hey, come on, just let's just chill out. But yeah, I agree. Dark Saga. Mayor, thank you for the 5. Hi, Jake. If Sean McVay starts to realize our run game is actually really good, then look out. Balance is the key. No, absolutely. It's really frustrating, especially when you're playing in the elements, especially when you're playing in these low-scoring crunch time affairs. In a 14-9 game against the Houston Texans, Kyron Williams totes the rock 18 times for 66 yards. Blake Corum had 1 carry for 2 yards. The Texans just shut him down. They shut down the run. They did a nice job. They had a good game plan. Stafford beat him up a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I don't mind the usage there. I don't think that they should have run it maybe a little bit more, but it wasn't that bad. The Titans did a nice job of shutting down Kyron Williams, 17 carries, 66 yards. Blake Corum had 5 carries, 44 yards. I would have kept running in this game, but be that as it may, it was a 33-19 affair, and the Rams just kind of rolled on. Then you look at week 3, This is one of those games where the Rams ran a lot, 20 carries, 94 yards. Blake Corum, 8 carries, 53 yards. And yet, even though they ran 28 times, they couldn't come close to stopping the Rams. I would not have stopped running the football. In such a close game, in a game that you controlled for almost the entire time, I would not have stopped running the football. Now, is that like a 10-7 game? No, but this is the Eagles game. They should have kept running the football. Absolutely. Colts game, okay? The Colts didn't stop Kyron at all. They stopped Blake Corum, 9 carries, 21 yards. Kyron Williams, 13 carries, 77 yards. I would have just kept running it with Kyron Williams in that game. And in a 27-28 game, they absolutely should have been running it with Kyron. The one that frustrates me the most is probably the 49er game. Because when they eventually, because this is the thing about the Rams here, the Rams did tie, they tied the game up in the fourth quarter, Kyron Williams touchdown. And, that actually, I didn't have an issue with the way they ran it. It was a close game. Stafford was throwing all over the yard. Didn't have an issue. The Ravens game, they did a nice job kind of shutting down Kyron a little bit. I didn't mind the way that came out either. Still run the football. Didn't mind it. Jacksonville, they ran the ball well. I don't really understand the 50-50 carry disparity there. The Saints game, they ran the ball extremely well with Kyron and Blake. I like the way they ran in that one, 38 times for the running backs. The 49er game, Kyron is running all over them. Blake Corum's running well. They were just in control. Stafford was just all over the place, 4 touchdowns. Don't have any issue. It's the Seattle game that infuriated me. Okay? The Seattle game infuriated me because it's a 21-19 game. The Rams led the entire way. Kyron Williams had 12 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. Blake Corum had 8 carries for 10 yards. So Sean McVay looked at that like 20 carries. I got my 20 carries for running backs. No, stop it. Keep doing it if it works. They couldn't. They didn't have a prayer of stopping Kyron. You got to keep doing it, man. You got to keep running the football. That really upset me. Then you had the game against the Bucks. I thought the Bucks just did a great job of shutting down the run. And then the Panthers, this game upset me too because Blake Corum's having the game of his life. Kyron's running well, 7.2 yards per carry. By the way, I want to apologize earlier. I said Kyron 9 average. He averaged 5.5. Great, not 9, still great though. 11.6 for Blake Corum. You don't stop running the football, okay? When you're able to run like that, you don't stop running the football, period. Exclamation point, end of story. So, yeah, balance is the key. Take off some time, run the clock, control. Possession's great, but if you don't have it, it can really come back to bite you. Back to back, thank you for the 2. Are you worried about a playoff game in elements? Yes. And the reason why is because Sean McVay, I still think they will win, but Sean McVay just abandons the run. He gets really pass happy, and I don't like it because I understand you got the MVP in Stafford, but when you're having that much success running the football, it's kind of inexcusable to go away from that. Stafford missed some throws. I thought he played well, but he also missed some throws, and they missed Terrence Ferguson a couple times. He had Ferguson. It happens, but again, in that weather, in that close of a game, why are you not running the football when you're having that much success? I mean, we're talking about 20 carries for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on. You're going to run it 20 times? They ran it 40 times. So I just don't really understand what the thought process was there. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more from the McVay show tonight, but I don't know. And hopefully Atwell's back. I think that'll help take the top off the defense. Obviously, Xavier Smith did a really nice job his career day. But yeah, that's that. So in conclusion, I'm not worried about this team. I'm not going to be worried about this team unless if they lose to Arizona, now we're talking, okay? Now we're concerned. If they lose to Arizona, we're concerned. But I don't think they're going to lose to Arizona. I don't. They won 6 straight. They can start another 5-game winning streak and carry it into the postseason. But anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun. Downtown Rams will be at 8 p.m. tonight, Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and also check out tomorrow NFC West Roundtable at 9 p.m. Eastern time over on the NFC West Roundtable YouTube channel. That's going to do it for me. You guys take care. Before I head on out of here, just a quick word from Sleeper, who of course is sponsoring this channel. Appreciate you. 100% bonus match up to $100 using my code JKB. If you haven't already gotten Sleeper, you're missing out, especially that $20 free entry. It's been sitting there smacking you right upside the head. So be sure to get in on the action with Sleeper. Use the $20 entry, no deposit needed, and use the link below to access Sleeper. So that's going to do it for me. Again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys soon.